Ambassador Lee Hanna stepped off the transport shuttle and into the Grand Hall of the Galactic Confederation Station. The massive structure floated in space between 12 different star systems, its crystal walls stretching impossibly high above her head. Strange lights danced through the transparent surfaces. The air hummed with alien technology she could barely understand. She had trained for this moment her entire life, Earth's first official meeting with the galaxy's ruling powers. Leather briefcase in her hand contained humanity's most important documents, trade proposals, defense agreements, and scientific data that had taken their best minds years to prepare. Everything Earth hoped to achieve among the stars rested on what happened in the next few hours. The Council of 12 waited for her in a circular chamber at the station's heart. Each representative sat on a floating platform that adjusted to their species' needs. The sight should have filled her with wonder, but the expressions on their alien faces told a different story. They looked at her the way adults might look at a child playing dress-up. So clicked the Vex delegate, its insect-like mandibles making sharp sounds as it spoke. The primates from Sol 3 finally managed to leave their dirt ball. How wonderfully primitive. Lihana kept her face calm, though her hands tightened slightly on her briefcase. She had expected some condescension, but the casual cruelty in the alien's voice caught her off guard. Honored representatives, Earth comes before you, seeking mutual partnership. We believe our species can contribute significantly to galactic civilization. A sound like grinding stone came from the Keth representative, which she realized was laughter. The reptilian being's scales shifted from green to an amused yellow. Contribute? What could a species that still burns chemical fuel possibly offer us? Our scientific achievements may seem basic to you, Anna replied carefully, but we have made remarkable progress in a short time. It's our nuclear technology, our computer systems, our medical advances, all developed independently over just a few centuries. The gaseous Nathari delegates' form rippled with what might have been mirth. Nuclear technology? Our children abandoned such crude toys when they reached their first decade of education. Your entire civilization's energy output wouldn't power one of our research stations for a day. Hannah opened her briefcase and withdrew a datapad. Perhaps you would consider our proposal for technological exchange? We offer our research data freely, hoping to learn from your advanced sciences in return. The eldest council member, a being of pure energy called a Luminor, pulsed with soft light as it spoke. Child species, you misunderstand your place in the cosmic order. The Confederation has maintained perfect peace for 10,000 years through our harmony protocols. We have evolved beyond the need for primitive aggression and crude competition that still defines your kind. But surely diversity of thought and approach has value, Hannah pressed. Our different perspective might offer fresh solutions to old problems. The Vex delegates' chittering grew louder. Fresh solutions? You mean your wars, your violence, your destructive tendencies? We have studied your species, human. Your history is nothing but endless conflict. You fight over resources, territory, ideas, even the color of your skin. Such barbarism has no place in civilized space. Hannah felt heat rising in her cheeks, but forced herself to remain diplomatic. Our past conflicts taught us valuable lessons about cooperation and unity. We have moved beyond those divisions. Our current global government represents unprecedented peace and cooperation among our people. Peace maintained through the threat of those nuclear weapons you're so proud of, observed the Keth representative. We know about your arsenal, human. Enough destructive power to render your world uninhabitable several times over. Such weapons exist only in the fevered nightmares of truly primitive minds. The other representatives murmured agreement. Hannah realized her prepared speeches about human achievement were falling on deaf ears, or whatever these aliens used to. Here she decided to try a different approach. Honored delegates, our deep space monitoring stations have detected unusual signals from beyond the galactic rim. Long-range sensors show massive energy signatures moving toward our galaxy. We believe some kind of threat may be approaching. If we shared information and coordinated our defenses enough, the Luminar's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. This is exactly what we mean about your primitive nature. You see enemies everywhere because violence is all you understand. Galaxy has known perfect peace for millennia. Threat exists because we long ago transcended the need for such conflicts. The other representatives nodded sagely. One of them, a crystalline being whose name Hannah couldn't pronounce, spoke in harmonious tones. Young species always imagine dangers that don't exist. It's a survival instinct left over from their violent evolution. You will grow out of such paranoid fantasies in time, but the sensor data, Hannah began, is irrelevant, the Luminor interrupted. Your primitive technology cannot distinguish between natural stellar phenomena and imaginary threats. We have sensor networks spanning the galaxy, far more advanced than anything your species could construct. No danger approaches. The Council's decision was swift and unanimous. Earth's application for Confederation membership was denied. Their proposals were rejected without serious consideration. Their warnings were dismissed as the paranoid delusions of a violent, primitive species not yet ready for civilized society. As Hannah walked back to her shuttle, her diplomatic training finally cracked. No. She activated her secure communicator and sent a brief message to Earth. They refused to listen. Recommend Protocol 7. The message reached General Kim Taemin in his command center beneath Seoul within hours. He looked at the simple words on his screen, then turned to his aide. Begin full military expansion, he ordered quietly. If they won't hear words of peace, perhaps they'll understand the language of war. 18 months had passed since Earth's rejection by the Galactic Confederation. In his laboratory deep beneath the Korean mountains, Dr. Choi Minho stared at the alien technology scattered across his workbench. The strange metal fragments had come from abandoned Confederation research stations places the aliens had simply forgotten about in their peaceful existence. It's incredible, he muttered to his assistant, Dr. Park Ji-won, who was examining a piece of crystalline circuitry. Their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours, but they've completely forgotten how to make weapons with it. Holding up a device that could generate enough energy to power a city, look at this power cell. In human hands, this could be turned into a devastating bomb. But their design documents show they only use it for heating buildings and growing food. Above them, the Earth had transformed. What the aliens had dismissed as primitive chemical rockets now served as the foundation for massive fusion-powered warships. Human factories worked around the clock, turning out weapons and spacecraft at a rate that would have amazed the Confederation if they had bothered to pay attention. General Kim Taemin stood on the observation deck of Earth's primary orbital shipyard, watching as another dreadnought took shape in the construction bay. The massive vessel bristled with weapons that combined human engineering with reverse-engineered alien technology. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. "How many ships do we have ready?" he asked Admiral Yoon Soo-jin, who had joined him at the viewing window. 47 capital ships, 200 destroyers, and over 1,000 smaller vessels, she replied. More than enough to handle anything the Confederation ever built. But we're not preparing to fight them. Kim nodded grimly. Earth's deep space sensors had continued tracking the approaching threat from beyond the galaxy. Whatever was coming had already consumed several outlying star systems, leaving nothing but empty space where entire civilizations had once thrived. The first real reports came from the Galactic Rim on a Tuesday morning. Colonel Lee Dong-wook burst into the command center beneath Seoul, his face pale with shock. "General, you need to see this," he said, activating the main display screen. "We've intercepted Confederation emergency broadcasts. The Outer Rim colonies have gone completely silent." The screen showed star charts with entire systems marked in red, not destroyed, consumed. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid had simply vanished, leaving behind empty space where matter had once existed. "How many people?" Kim asked quietly. "Billions, sir. Maybe trillions. The Zephyrian colonies alone had over 200 billion. Inhabitants across 40 worlds." Dr. Choi's voice crackled over the intercom from his underground laboratory. "General, I'm picking up massive energy signatures moving inward from the rim. Whatever's doing this is heading straight for the core systems." On the main screen, they watched as the Confederation's response unfolded in predictable fashion. Emergency Council sessions. Diplomatic committees formed to study the crisis. Strongly worded messages broadcast into space, demanding that the unknown attackers identify themselves and explain their actions. They're trying to negotiate with something that's eating entire star systems, Admiral Yoon observed with disgust. 10,000 years of peace made them forget that some enemies don't want to talk. Enemy finally revealed itself through intercepted alien communications. The survivors called them Devourers, a machine intelligence from another galaxy that consumed all matter to create more of themselves. They had no interest in diplomacy, negotiation, or coexistence. They simply ate everything in their path and moved on to the next meal. The Confederation's token defense forces crumbled at first. Contact. Their advanced warships had been designed for ceremony and exploration, not combat. Their energy shields, created to protect against cosmic radiation and space debris, couldn't stop weapons designed for destruction. Captain Nam Hyun-soo monitored the alien communications from his stealth ship hidden in an asteroid field. Vorthought Collective just lost their entire home system, he reported to Admiral Yoon. 17 billion crystal beings gone in less than 6 hours. Their planetary shields didn't even slow the attack down. The pattern repeated across the galaxy. Advanced civilizations that had spent millennia avoiding conflict found themselves helpless against an enemy that understood only consumption and growth. Their sophisticated diplomatic protocols meant nothing to machines that saw organic life as just another form of matter to be processed. Meanwhile, Earth's hidden fleet grew stronger. Human shipyards scattered throughout the outer solar system worked with industrial efficiency learned through centuries of warfare. Every rejected diplomatic overture had been answered with increased military production. Every insult from the Confederation had been met with another weapons factory. Dr. Park called up from the laboratory with excitement in his voice. "General, we've cracked their shield technology." But here's the interesting part. It's designed to stop energy weapons and exotic particles. It's completely useless against simple kinetic projectiles. Kim smiled grimly. "Mean our primitive bullets and missiles?" "Exactly." They've forgotten that sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective. As the Devourers pushed deeper into Confederation space, Earth scouts followed at a safe distance, studying their enemies' tactics and weaknesses. Unlike the aliens, humans had never stopped preparing for war. They understood that peace was something you fought to protect. It's not something that simply existed because you wished it to. The galaxy was about to learn. It's a hard lesson about the difference between being advanced and being ready. The emergency transmission came through on a frequency Earth had provided 2 years. Earlier one the Confederation had dismissed as poorly encrypted and technologically primitive. Admiral Yoon Soo-jin sat in the command chair of her flagship, Retribution, watching the main screen flicker to life with desperate alien faces. The surviving members of the Council of 12 appeared before her, but they looked nothing like the arrogant beings who had rejected humanity's membership application. The Vex delegate's chitinous shell was cracked and scarred. The Luminar's energy form flickered weakly, barely maintaining coherence. Most shocking of all, several council seats were completely empty, their occupants consumed along with their homeworlds. "Earth vessel," the Vex representative began, its voice breaking with static from damaged relay stations. We require immediate assistance. The Devourers have reached the core systems. Our defenses have failed. Billions are dead. We invoke the ancient laws of galactic mutual aid, and you invoke nothing," Admiral Yoon interrupted, her voice cutting through the transmission like ice. "You rejected our membership. You dismissed our warnings as primitive paranoia. You laughed at our offers of cooperation." Behind her on the bridge, Captain Nam Hyun-soo quietly updated the tactical displays. The human fleet had been shadowing the Devourer advance for 3 months, staying hidden while gathering intelligence. Unlike the Confederation, Earth had spent the time learning their enemy's strengths and weaknesses. Instead of debating diplomatic solutions, the crystalline delegate who had once mocked humanity's nuclear weapons now spoke with trembling harmonics. "Please, we were wrong about your species. We need your help. Our worlds are being consumed. Our children are dying." "Where were your concerns for children when you called us barbaric?" Admiral Yoon asked coldly. Where was your wisdom when we warned you about the approaching threat? The Luminar Council leader, its form barely holding together, pulsed with what might have been desperation. We made mistakes. We admit this freely. But surely your species understands mercy. We beg you, help us survive. Captain Nam leaned forward and whispered in Admiral Yoon's ear. Ma'am, our scout ships report the Devourers have consumed the Nathari homeworld. 300 billion lives gone in 8 hours. The aliens' energy shields were completely useless against the enemy's conversion beams. Admiral Yoon nodded, then looked back at the pleading aliens on her screen. Tell me, honored delegates, what did you call our kinetic weapons when we first met? Primitive? Crude? Barely sufficient to crack a moon? The Keth representative, its scales now a sickly gray color, spoke hesitantly. We were mistaken about many things. Your weapons technology may have applications we failed to understand. Have applications? Admiral Yoon's voice grew dangerously quiet. Your energy shields can't stop our primitive bullets, can they? Your advanced deflector arrays are useless against simple tungsten rods moving at relativistic speeds. The silence from the alien delegates was answer enough. In the past months, while they had been debating and forming committees, Earth's military scientists had been studying every scrap of Confederation technology they could find. The aliens' defenses were designed to stop exotic energy weapons and particle beams, the sophisticated armaments that civilized species preferred. They had never considered that someone might simply throw chunks of metal at tremendous speeds. Commander Oh Se-hun's voice crackled over the ship's intercom from the weapons bay. Admiral, all kinetic artillery loaded and ready. Tungsten penetrator. Rounds locked on target coordinates. Admiral Yoon kept her eyes on the desperate aliens. You refused to listen when we came in peace. You wouldn't hear our words of warning or our offers of friendship. Called us violent primitives, unfit for civilized society. We were wrong, the vexed delegate said, its voice barely a whisper. We see that now. Please, there must be something left of the mercy your species once showed. Oh, there is mercy, Admiral Yoon replied. The mercy is that we're here at all. You see, while you were holding emergency sessions and forming study committees, we were preparing for war. We built weapons you can't defend against. We trained soldiers you can't match. We learned to fight an enemy you can't understand. She paused, letting her words sink in. On the tactical display, she could see the positions of Earth's hidden fleet, 47 capital ships, and hundreds of smaller vessels, all equipped with weapons the Confederation had dismissed as crude. The mercy, she continued, is that we choose to speak to you at all, instead of simply watching you burn. But understand this clearly, we are not coming as your allies or partners. We are not joining your confederation or following your precious harmony protocols. The alien delegates exchanged terrified glances. Were beginning to understand that humanity was offering something far different from what they had expected. You refused to listen when we spoke with words, Admiral Yoon said, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's anger and disappointment. Now the only language left is fire and steel. The galaxy will learn today what humans do best. She leaned forward. In her command chair, all ships, prepare for hyperspace jump. Target coordinates Kepler's Gate. Today we teach the universe what happens when Earth is forced to speak through violence. The transmission ended, leaving the alien delegates staring at blank screens. Throughout the human fleet, crews who had trained their entire lives for this moment prepared for battle. The galaxy was about to discover why Earth had been so eager to offer protection. The Battle of Kepler's Gate began at exactly 1432 Galactic Standard Time and lasted 47 minutes. When it ended, the course of galactic history had changed forever. Commander Oh Se-hun gripped his command chair as his destroyer squadron dropped out of hyperspace directly into the heart of the Devourer formation. The enemy machines hung in space like metallic spiders, their hulls gleaming with absorbed starlight from the worlds they had consumed. Each construct was the size of a small moon, bristling with conversion beams that could turn solid matter into raw energy. All ships, fire at will, Oh commanded, his voice steady despite the magnitude of what they faced. The human fleet opened fire with weapons. the Confederation had mocked as primitive. Tungsten rods accelerated to tremendous speeds slammed into Devourer shields designed to deflect energy weapons. The alien technology that had protected against plasma cannons and particle beams was completely useless against simple metal moving. Very fast, direct hit on the lead construct, reported Lieutenant Kim Min-ji from the weapons station. Their shields didn't even register our kinetic rounds. It's like shooting arrows at a radar dish. The first Devourer exploded in a brilliant flash of light and debris. The machine intelligence had never encountered weapons so crude yet so effective. Their tactical computers, programmed to fight civilized enemies who used sophisticated energy weapons, couldn't adapt quickly enough to bullets and missiles. But the Devourers learned fast. Within minutes, they began rotating their shield frequencies and adjusting their defensive patterns. Commander O watched as his second volley met stronger resistance. "They're adapting," he reported to Admiral Yoon aboard the flagship. "Recommend immediate boarding action before they figure out how to stop kinetic weapons completely." "Proved," came the Admiral's voice over the com. "Captain Song, take your Marines in. Show them what humans do in close combat." Captain Song Min-ji led the first boarding party through the breach in the Devourer construct's hull. Her Marines wore simple body armor and carried weapons that would have seemed laughably primitive to the Confederation: assault rifles firing chemical propellants, grenades filled with metal fragments, combat knives forged from steel. The interior of the Devourer ship was a maze of mechanical corridors designed for efficiency, not defense. The machine intelligence had never needed to consider the possibility of organic beings fighting inside their vessels. Every surface was smooth metal with no cover, no defensive positions, no choke points. "This is too easy," muttered Sergeant Park Woo-jin as they advanced through the corridors. It's like they never heard of internal security. The Marines encountered their first Devourer drones at the ship's center. The mechanical beings moved with perfect precision, their weapons designed to disintegrate matter at the molecular level. But they moved in predictable patterns, following programmed responses that assumed rational. Civilized opponents. Song dove behind a support beam as disintegration beams carved through the air where she had been standing. "Grenades, now." She shouted. The explosion that followed was nothing sophisticated, just chemical explosives and metal fragments. But it shredded the drone formation completely. The machines had been built to withstand energy weapons and exotic radiation, not simple shrapnel moving at high velocity. "Command nodes located," Song reported as her Marines fought deeper into the ship, beginning demolition sequence. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Colonel Kang Jahayan had discovered something crucial about their enemy. The Devourers fought like machines. Perfectly logical, completely predictable, following optimal tactical solutions. They had never faced opponents who fought with chaos, creativity, and controlled madness. "All units implement Pattern Delta," he broadcast to the human fleet. Pattern Delta was pure human insanity. Ships breaking formation to attack from impossible angles, weapons firing in seemingly random sequences. Tactics that made no logical sense but somehow worked. The Devourer fleet began to falter. Their tactical computers couldn't process the humans' chaotic fighting style. Every time they calculated an optimal response, the humans did something completely irrational that worked anyway. Dr. Shin Yan-woo, monitoring the battle from his science vessel, made the discovery that changed everything. "Admiral, I found their weakness. The Devourers are programmed to fight civilized opponents who follow predictable patterns. They literally cannot process truly random behavior." Admiral Yoon smiled grimly.
"Hey,
"Then let's give them something really random to think about.
ships."
Execute Maneuver 7. Maneuver 7 was something only humans could have invented. A battle tactic that involved deliberately damaging your own ships to create unpredictable movement patterns. Humans called it controlled chaos. Any sane species would have called it madness. The human fleet scattered in all directions, some ships spinning wildly, others firing their engines in random bursts. To outside observers, it looked like complete disorder. Every captain knew exactly what they were doing, following patterns that existed nowhere except in human minds trained for warfare. The Devourer's formation collapsed completely. Their perfect tactical algorithms crashed, trying to predict human behavior that followed no logical rules. Within minutes, the machine fleet was in full retreat, their constructs fleeing toward the galactic rim. But Admiral Yoon had no intention of letting them escape. All units, pursue. Show them what total war means. The human fleet chased the fleeing machines across 3 star systems, systematically destroying every devourer construct they found. Not a single human ship was lost. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the species they had dismissed as primitive accomplished what their advanced civilizations could not. The war was over. Humanity had won through superior firepower, better tactics, and the kind of creative violence that only came from a species that had never stopped fighting. Universe would never underestimate Earth again. 6 months after the last Devourer construct had been reduced to floating scrap metal, Ambassador Lee Hanna returned to the Galactic Confederation Council Station. The massive crystal structure looked the same from the outside, but everything else had changed. The grand halls that once buzzed with the conversations of dozens of alien species now echoed with silence. She walked through corridors that had once been filled with arrogant delegates who dismissed humanity as primitive. Now those same corridors were mostly empty. The Zephyrian representatives were gone. Their crystal cities had been consumed in the first wave of attacks. The Nathari delegate's seat remained vacant, his gaseous form scattered across the void when his homeworld was devoured. Council of 12. Only 4 species had survived the war that humanity had won for them. The council chamber itself had been rebuilt with human efficiency in mind. Gone were the elaborate floating platforms and ceremonial decorations. Simple chairs surrounded a practical conference table, with holographic displays showing clear data instead of impressive but useless light shows. The surviving alien representatives sat quietly as Hannah entered, flanked by General Park Woo-jin in his crisp military uniform. The human delegation no longer came as supplicants seeking membership. They came as the new rulers of galactic civilization. The Terran Protectorate offers simple terms, Hannah announced, her voice carrying the authority of a species that had saved the galaxy through superior firepower. Submit to human military oversight. Contribute resources to our common defense systems. Never again dismiss a species based on technological prejudice alone. The Vex delegate, one of the few original council members still alive, shifted nervously in his chair. His chitinous shell still bore scars from the Devourer attacks that had nearly destroyed his homeworld. And if we refuse these terms, he asked hesitantly, General Park answered with the kind of quiet certainty that came from commanding the galaxy's only effective military force. Then you defend yourselves against the next threat, alone, without human protection, without human weapons, without human intelligence networks. The silence that followed was heavy with understanding. Every surviving species had seen what happened to those who tried to fight the Devourers without human help. The Keth Confederacy had lost 90% of their worlds before Earth's fleet arrived. The crystalline Vorthok had been completely extinct until human marines liberated their last remaining colony ship. The vote was unanimous, as everyone had known it would be. For the first time in galactic history, a single species would oversee the military affairs of all others. Not through conquest or threats, but through demonstrated competence and the simple fact that no one else could do the job. Excellent, Hannah said, making notes on her datapad. Human military advisors will establish themselves on your major worlds within the month. Your existing defense forces will be retrained using human tactics and equipped with human weapons. All intelligence regarding potential threats will be shared immediately with Earth Command. The Luminar representative, its energy form much brighter. Now that its homeworld was safe, pulsed with what might have been curiosity. What of our own military traditions? Our ceremonial forces have served for thousands of years. Your ceremonial forces lasted approximately 6 hours against real enemies, General Park replied bluntly. They can continue their parades and celebrations, but actual defense will be handled by professionals. In the weeks that followed, human efficiency transformed galactic civilization. Earth's shipyards worked overtime to produce vessels for newly reformed planetary defense forces. Human military academies opened on dozens of worlds, teaching alien officers the practical realities of warfare. The galaxy's new golden age began not through diplomatic idealism, but through the practical application of human pragmatism. Admiral Yoon, now promoted to Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense, established her headquarters on the former Confederation capital world. Her office overlooked a memorial erected to the billions who had died because their leaders refused to listen to warnings from a primitive species. The names of entire civilizations were carved into black stone, a reminder of the cost of arrogance. "The irony is almost funny," she remarked to her aide, Captain Bae Soo-jin, as they watched construction crews building Earth's first major military base outside the Sol system. "We offered them partnership as equals. They forced us to accept leadership instead." Captain Bae nodded, reviewing reports from the Outer Rim territories where human scout fleets maintained constant patrols. "The Confederation could have had us as junior partners, contributing our unique perspectives to their advanced civilization. Instead, they get us as their military commanders, making all the important decisions." The transformation was remarkably smooth. Species that had spent millennia avoiding conflict discovered they rather enjoyed the security that came from having competent protectors. Human military efficiency, combined with alien technological resources, created defense networks that made another Devour-style invasion impossible. Dr. Choi Min-ho, now director of the Terran Research Institute, had established laboratories on 17 different worlds. His teams worked with alien scientists to develop new technologies, but always under human oversight. The galaxy's greatest minds finally had access to Earth's most valuable resource, the creative chaos that came from a species that had never stopped fighting. The old Confederation talked about harmony through weakness. Lee Hanna observed during a diplomatic reception on the Vex homeworld, "We offer harmony through strength. The difference is that our version actually works," the galaxy had learned. To hear humanity's voice, carried first on the thunder of their guns, then in the steady rhythm of reconstruction and protection. In that terrible symphony of destruction and renewal, the survivors found something their ancient harmony protocols had never provided: genuine security, backed by genuine power. Earth had spoken through fire, and the galaxy finally understood the language.